My Wife's Movie Club watched the 1983 film War Games, starring Matthew Broderick. The movie starts with a sequence showing the security and complexity of nuclear missile protection, remote locations, secret facade entrances, code words, passwords, computer technology, and large missile doors. The call comes in to launch a nuclear missile, and there is a dilemma. Is the signal a real launch? And how would they know? One officer states that the protocols are already in place. The fact that there is an order is proof that it is real, and the other wants confirmation because he's thinking about the consequences, whether they're right or wrong. We leave these two as one points a gun at the other. Turns out it was a simulation. It's a test, not just for these two servicemen, but for the nuclear missile bunkers all over the country, and overwhelmingly the test shows that they were unsuccessful. A large percentage failed to launch the missiles. Now the film asks this question: who is better suited to protect this country, man or machine? Introducing the Whopper, not intended to be an advertisement for Burger King. It is War Operation Planned Response, which means they really wanted to say Whopper a lot. Next, we're introduced to David Lightman, an unmotivated teenager slacker. He is immature, disrespectful. He's a cheater. He's unethical. He is more interested in playing some games he's never heard of than understanding biology and his schooling pursuits. And he's a perfect example why you would want a machine to protect you instead of people like him. He is not alone. It seems like everyone we meet has some human characteristic or flaw that you would not want to be in charge of nuclear missiles. Power-driven salesmen, ego-driven generals, lust-driven guards, reclusive creator of the Whopper, or Joshua, who cares about nothing. David also introduces us to the flaws of computers as he hacks into the school computer and attempts to hack into a new Protovision games. Computers will do anything they are programmed to do. We just need the right password or the right input. As David starts to play the game of a global thermonuclear war with Joshua, the computer, that was the heart of Whopper, the system is overrun with the game, making it appear like the Russians are actually attacking them. But of course, it's just a simulation.
Stop! It's a simulation! There's an attack simulation running! We're not being attacked! It's a simulation!
They are cautioned to ignore the simulation, but they can't seem to do it. The threat is ever so real. And the input from the computer is telling them they are about to die. And there is only one response, and that is to attack back in full force. I can't help but think that there is a message about the information we consume. If you know people with strong political views, then you are familiar with how different their world is from other different points of view.
How's that mean? I don't know, but it's great.
But it is all a simulation. They have created a world where they are under attack and must be prepared to return fire. The weapons are not missiles, but insults, hate, isolationism, and spewing echo chamber rhetoric. Not many are willing to listen to the other viewpoints, and if they do, they usually find a reason not to believe it. Just like in war games, as the reports from the field show no enemy planes, no submarines or missiles, the command center finds a way to explain that the simulation data from Whopper is real. For example, they actually have come up and say, well, there's rumors of stealth tech where they're projecting their signal hundreds of miles away, so there's no way we would ever be able to detect them. This is an echo of the first movie sequence about the missile launch. Is this real, or is it a game? As things heat up, more intervention is needed, and Stephen Falcon, creator of Joshua, tells them not to react to the false stimulus. Don't be a computer, be a human being.
General, you are listening to a machine. Do the world a favor and don't act like one.
For computers and humans, there is a stimulus and a response. The computer sees the input and its programming tells it what to do next. We are not so different, but there is an inherent difference. For us, there is a space between the input and the response, a space for us to decide on our own how we will respond. Call it what you will, free will or agency. It is the power to act for ourselves despite what we are being told. We may be programmed by the information we consume. We may have shortcuts in our mind to help us process information, but we can still pause and choose our response. So, Choose not to respond. Don't become the enemy that they have already imagined. They accuse you of hate. Don't respond with hate. Your feelings are hurt, yes, but you don't have to believe in their simulation. But that's a bit impractical, isn't it? I mean, you can't just do nothing. Even in the movie, after they choose not to respond, the computer takes it to the next level. This time, it is more than a simulation. It is an actual threat, all based on a lie, the game, or the simulation, or however you want to frame it. It is going to launch the missiles for real. War Games tells us there's another way. Luckily, Joshua, the computer, is one who can learn. And the lesson is made by getting Joshua, the computer, to play a series of tic-tac-toe games showing him that there is no winner. The computer applies this logic to global thermonuclear war and determines it is a game that is only won by not playing. It learns something new by itself with a bit of new input. It is idealistic and maybe not the most effective method, but I think if you apply this idea, instead of attacking others for their ideas, you have attributed to them. Maybe ask them what they believe and find out their actual ideas. Maybe we can educate each other, share information with one another. Set an example and let that new data give them input to determine what is real and what is a simulation. It won't work for those who are already in the echo chambers, who have nothing to learn, who are convinced thermonuclear war is inevitable. But it works in the film. When we meet Stephen Falcon, he is just like a computer, living his own simulation. He has data that tells him that we are but an experiment by Mother Nature, and he cares about nothing. To him, there is no purpose to life. We will die, and nature will start over with the bees. A nuclear holocaust is just the course we are going to run. The loss of life, not a big deal, and his only concern is that he won't have to suffer or survive the aftermath. However, David and Jennifer are able to awake the humanity within him, to fight for life and for others' opportunities. So who is better to protect us from us? Is it the soulless computer, a technology without human flaws, without emotions, but easily manipulated? Or is it ourselves, realizing that we have the ability to choose the right no matter the input, that we can avoid being easily manipulated? War Games is not about the futility of war. War has a purpose, and we should defend our liberties and seek freedom from oppressors. But should we war against a simulation? Get caught up in the made-up drama for the sake of drama? No. War Games is about being a human being and the ability to determine what is good input and what is not. It is about your ability to choose, to do what is right instead of doing as you are told based on someone else's simulation. It is about the futility of hate in response to hate, which is mutual destruction. War Games is a great movie. I loved how it took actual computer advances and actual people and applied them in a fictional story. This movie is groundbreaking in the history of computer technology, and it opened people's eyes to the possibilities and dangers of the relatively new technology. I liked this film. It was fun to watch. I was surprised how much I remember after watching it over 35 years ago. What did you think?
What are those? Those are launch codes.
What are they for?
General, what you see on these screens up here is a fantasy, a computer-enhanced hallucination.
Shall we play?